we're going back and forth and bullshitting in between sketches. And then finally at the end of the show, Paul McCartney comes out. It's like a surprise, but he comes out to sing like the end of Abbey Road. And I just next to Catherine went, "Oh," and she said, "What?" And I said, "This guy's never good." And Catherine like punched me. She was like, "Oh, shut up," you know. I'm like, I know her, but I didn't know her well enough to get punched by her. But yes, I did.
That's also a stunning Catherine O'Hara impersonation.
And
Thanks.
just thrilled to have you here.
I'm so happy
I saw
to be
you
here.
recently, not to bring the room down, but I saw you very recently at a very sad event.
Uh-huh.
That was also uplifting, which was Catherine O'Hara's, the gathering for Catherine.
That's right.
And I want to offer my condolences to you because we all lost this amazing person in Catherine, but you had this relationship that's probably gone on your whole life with Catherine. I mean, you made this incredible role for her in Schitt's Creek, but all of us, that's one of those losses that I still can't quite fit into my head.
And the crazy thing about it is that I'm still like, I go on Instagram and her face is there and Moira's clips from the show are all over the place. And every time I see her, even though I wrote the thing, I stop and I watch. And I'm watching not for anything that I did,
right?
But I'm watching because she is impossible not to watch.
Yeah,
she's impossible not to love. And it's impossible not to laugh with her in anything she does. And it is like an unimagiable loss.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
she was just irreplaceable talent and an irreplaceable person.
Really, I may have mentioned this, but at the SNL 50th, it felt totally arbitrary to me unless they just had an Irish section. But I showed up and they gave me my seat and I sit down and then there's an empty seat next to me and then who's assigned there? But it's Catherine O'Hara. And I had the time of my life with her.
She's the greatest company.
Yes,
she's the greatest seatmate.
Yeah.
She's the greatest dinner companion.
Yeah.
She was the greatest conversationalist.
Yeah.
She was endlessly curious and humble and deeply, deeply funny.
Also, she had this way of instantly, again, I don't know if this is because I'm part of that sick Irish tribe, but she had this way of immediately becoming like an older sister to me. So I'm sitting next to her and we're going back and forth and bullshitting in between sketches. And then finally at the end of the show, Paul McCartney comes out. It's like a surprise, but he comes out to sing like the end of Abbey Road. And I just next to Catherine went, "Oh," and she said, "What?" And I said, "This guy's never good." And Catherine like punched me. She was like, "Oh, shut up," you know. I'm like, I know her, but I didn't know her well enough to get punched by her. But yes, I did.
That's also a stunning Catherine O'Hara impersonation.
Yeah.
She had a very sort of there was a throatiness to her that was so gruff at times.
Yeah.
And yet she played like Lola Heatherton and Moira Rose and had this like unbelievable elegance and yet sometimes could just be like, oh gosh.
Suddenly lose her words.
She also knew when something was not funny.
Yes.
Hence your Paul McCartney joke.
Yeah. I just wanted to be.
She knew when to bring it back to reality.
I wanted to be the one person who ever said that when Paul McCartney came out. I thought there's no one's ever done it. I'm going to do it.
I'm sure that was the reaction you were looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go out on a limb with this Paul McCartney joke and see how it reacts.
I wanted to,
Catherine.
I wanted to get punched by Catherine O'Hara, and my dream came true. But this segues nicely into something that always puzzled me. And at the event for Catherine, the former Prime Minister Trudeau was there.
That's right.
And he, at one point, I find myself talking to him after the ceremony, and I just said, "Why? Why are Canadians? What is it? Is it in the water? What is it about?" And I know it's a question that's been around.
I thought you asked him why he was there.
Yeah. And why? And also,
again, I don't know if that would fly with. I don't know. Maybe
I did. So when I saw him go, "Ugh," and someone next to me said, "What's the problem?" And I said, "He's never good." No, I asked him, "What is it about?" So many of my comedy heroes, I grew up watching your dad, Joe Flaherty, Catherine O'Hara. I mean, Marty Short, the whole crew. I watched them on SCTV, and I was a religious devotee of how smart and funny and great.
What a brilliant show that was.
Well, I also try to get younger people to understand there's so much smart, cutting edge stuff that can come from any angle at you now. It just didn't exist then. And SNL was great and monolithic, but SCTV shows up shortly afterwards and it is more like the internet comedy of today.
Right.
It was maybe 50 years. That's felt like it was 50 years ahead of its time, and I just fell in love with it. And I was, and then working in comedy, I've just every time I work with Canadians, and they're so fast and funny. And I'm wondering, you're growing up, was it in Toronto? Where did you grow up? In
Toronto.
Toronto. And can you explain what this whole thing is?
Well, I mean, my dad and Catherine have this philosophy that it's actually not an instinct. It's not a categorically Canadian thing.
Right.
It's just Canadians who have succeeded have just like, there's a lot of Canadian enthusiasm around them.
Okay.
But statistically speaking, I mean, I think there are a lot of very successful, specifically Canadian comedians.
I believe that statistically it's off the charts, meaning I'm not satisfied with the explanation that, no, there are funny people in every country and somehow Canadians just support.
Yeah.
No, I've worked with way too many, all the Kids in the Hall guys, Mike Myers, are just, it's an endless list.
And it's also pockets of very funny Canadians that have found each other at these points in their lives. And I, going, one of my big like genie wishes would be to go back and watch some of those early Second City nights.
Right.
John Candy, Andrea Martin, Catherine O'Hara, my dad, Marty, and then, Gilda.
Yep.
And I mean, then you get into the Godspell of it all, which I would have killed to have seen.
Oh, that's the show we all want to go back and hang out at, because it was, it's like every important scientist or every great painter in the Renaissance somehow got together and worked on one painting.
It was insane.
That's how it felt. This one production of Godspell, everybody was in it. I mean, everybody.
Yeah.
And
it has like legendary status.
Yeah.
The very first movie I ever made was with Tina Fey, and I was so nervous. And at a break, she came over and she was like, "I want to talk about Godspell in Toronto." And instantly I was set at ease.
Yeah.
So it's yes, there are funny Canadians, but there's also like these pockets of unbelievably brilliant Canadian funny minds that have somehow found their way into the international sort of zeitgeist. I think it's because we live above America, which is inherently sort of a very prideful freedom and,
right.
And
you'll have freedom if it kills you. We're firing a freedom bomb at you.
It's like, what? We can't relate. We don't have that kind of hubris. So as a place that is sort of wanting to be very different than America, but knowing that it is not quite as powerful.
Yeah.
There is an inherent sort of self-awareness that is in the water.
Yeah.
And I believe self-awareness is what makes the people funny.
Yes.
It's a lack of self-awareness. Is the most boring people you meet are completely unaware of how boring they are.
Yes. Yes.
Canadians are very aware of how boring they are. And that's what makes it funny. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. No, that's it. I don't believe
we know what's going on and we can talk about it. God, I love being Canadian.
It's sounding pretty good right now.
I want to be Canadian.
I'm clutching that passport.
My wife and I got invited, I'm sure, to that lake area where everyone has their little cottages. Yeah, and Muskokas. Yeah. And sitting on a dock and watching a boat pull up, and, Catherine jumped out of the boat with her husband, Beau, and your dad's there. And people, like, the cast of SCTV is jumping out of a boat to sit with me on a dock while Marty pours us drinks. And I left my body. I left my body.
You're drinking probably a rum and ting.
Yes, rum and ting.
Paired.
Okay.
That's really what it came down to. Like, so much of Moira Rose was Catherine.
Yeah.
As is every character. Seth Rogen was talking about this recently about, how the amazing thing about Catherine is she would email them the night before being like, "Gentlemen, some thoughts about the scenes we're shooting tomorrow." And it would be a full top to tail rewrite. And as soon as he said it, it was like, I got those emails.
Yeah,
gentlemen. It always started with "gentlemen, some thoughts," and then it was an unbelievable rewrite of the scene. And that is what all the great Catherine roles were, when she found collaborators that wanted to give her that platform.
Yeah.
Because she had so much to offer, and she was the way that she thinks is so on another level that as a writer, you can't get into her head. So all you can really do is set the table, wait for the email, gentlemen, some thoughts, read the scene and say, fuck yeah, you know, and like, just be prepared.
Sure.
You know, she told me how she wanted to look on the show. My job was to make sure that in a wardrobe fitting, we had everything that would excite her.
Well, this I have to break in because you just brought up a topic that came to my mind, which is the wardrobe for the show was, you know, a star of the show as well.
Sure.
And it always reminded me a little bit of Gilligan's Island, where the premise was these people get together for a 3-hour tour. A storm hits, they're washed up on an island. And every time you see the Howells, they're wearing these absurd different outfits. And they just said, yes, they brought a trunk of their clothes with them on a 3-hour tour. And it was a trunk that was like out of Hogwarts. It
that
was
could
infinite.
last for years.
There's Belgian armor in there. There's Shakespearean garb. Every single thing you would ever need. And I remembered having that thought about Schitt's Creek, which is they had money and then
lost it, but got to keep every piece of clothing and somehow store it in a motel.
Very small
that
motel.
Was often booked up. So in our mind, all of their clothes were stored in the upstairs above the lobby of the motel.
But also, I love...
That's how we rationalize it.
But I love that you do seem to me like someone who does his homework. I'm sure you were doing all of the character work and figuring out down to the smallest detail. Well,
but to that point, those clothes did so much of the character work for us.
Yeah.
All I had to do was make sure the racks looked good and they were nuts, and that we had, you know, huge sky-high heels and like knee-high boots and mini skirts made out of latex. And at some point there were I would source these designer pieces that sometimes required us to contact the designer to find out how to put them on. There's a dress that Catherine wears.
You enter through the arm.
No joke. There's a very classic scene where Moira Rose is being photographed in a field by a character we called Sebastian Rain, who was played by Francois Arnault, who is now of Heated Rivalry fame.
Oh, yeah.
And she is in a latex dress that had to be tied with a shirt underneath. And we couldn't figure out how to tie the latex because putting a tie around latex is like rubber rubbing against rubber. So at one point there were like 4 people around Catherine, like one with a foot on her back, one trying to tie the latex. I'm like swirling around her being like, can you breathe? Are you feeling good? Is everything okay?
Misting her.
And that was when Catherine was like at her most excited. When the costumes were so insane that it took 5 people to put them on, and then boots that were laced up that took 10 minutes, and then she'd walk onto set. You would hear kind of gasps from the crew because they never knew what she was going to show up wearing and looking like, depending on the wigs as well. And it was the joy of seeing Catherine excited. There is no greater joy for me.